Whenever money tightens around your chest like a fist, there's a silent danger most people never recognize. It isn't the lack of money itself, it's the way your thoughts begin to twist, how your breath shortens, how your words, those quiet sentences you whisper in moments of fear, start shaping the very reality you're afraid of. Money anxiety is not just emotional turbulence, it's a spiritual signal. And ignoring that signal can close doors you didn't even know were trying to open for you. If you're listening to me now, it means your inner world has already felt the tremor of that truth. Before we go deeper, I want you to do something simple but intensely symbolic. Go to the comments and write the exact phrase you say when money scares you. Maybe it's, "I can't handle this," or "I'm losing control," or "everything is falling apart." Write it not to expose your fear, but to release it. When you take a private fear and place it in the light, its power weakens. And more importantly, you take the first step toward reshaping the language that shapes your destiny. Because here is something ancient, something carried quietly through Jewish tradition for generations. The way you speak during fear determines the path your life will take afterward. Words are not emotional decorations. They are spiritual mechanisms. When money makes your heart tremble, every sentence you choose either widens your future or narrows it. Anxiety doesn't just sit inside your chest. It spills into your speech, and your speech sends signals into the unseen. My great-grandfather, a man named Avraham, used to tell us that anxiety is like smoke. When it rises, it clouds the windows of your destiny. He believed that the universe listens more closely to the words spoken in fear than the ones spoken in confidence, because fear comes with intensity, and intensity amplifies creation. So the moment you say, "I can't handle this," the universe hears not just a complaint, but a command. Close the door, halt the flow, this person is preparing for loss. And yet, the most dangerous part is how automatic this becomes. Money anxiety sneaks into your vocabulary. You stop noticing the sentences you speak. You repeat them as if they're harmless, but every repetition plants a seed, one that grows into the very thing you feared. This is why so many people feel stuck, no matter how hard they work. Their words keep locking the same cage they are trying to escape. But Jewish wisdom does not leave us trapped in this cycle. Buried inside our tradition is an ancient teaching designed to break financial anxiety at its root. A teaching so counterintuitive, so quietly powerful, that it can shift the direction of your life the moment you understand it. And to reveal it, we need to step deeper into the spiritual mechanics of fear, because anxiety has a cause far older and far more hidden than most people realize. In Jewish wisdom, anxiety is more than a feeling. It is a form of spiritual interference. It disrupts the flow between what you ask for and what you are able to receive. The ancient sages taught that when a person is overwhelmed by fear, their inner vessel contracts, and a contracted vessel cannot hold blessing. This idea may sound mystical, but once you witness it in your own life, it becomes startlingly practical. Fear squeezes the heart shut. Prosperity needs the heart open. My great-grandfather Avraham understood this long before science ever hinted at it. He was a quiet man with strong hands and a voice that carried both gentleness and gravity. During the harshest years of his life, years when money dried like a riverbed in summer, he discovered something that shaped our entire family's understanding of prosperity. In those moments when anxiety tried to swallow him, he noticed that every fearful thought narrowed his world. Every fearful word made opportunities vanish. The moment he said, "I'm afraid I won't make it," he felt life beginning to close around him like a tightening circle. But when he shifted his language, even slightly, the world shifted with him. He used to say, "Fear does not come to warn you, it comes to shrink you." And that shrinking is the beginning of spiritual blockage. Some people spiral into that contraction without realizing it. They speak worry into existence. They repeat anxious phrases as though narrating a story that has already ended. And yet, others rise above it.
Not because their circumstances are easier, but because they carry a teaching that transforms fear into movement. This is where the contrast becomes clear. There are people who drown in anxiety and people who rise through it. The difference is not luck, it is alignment. The first group feeds anxiety with their words. I'm losing everything. I can't survive this. Things never work for me. The second group redirects the energy. They speak words that create space instead of constriction. They declare possibility even when the evidence is missing. They trust the unseen long enough for the seen to rearrange. And this is where ancient Jewish wisdom becomes more than philosophy. It becomes a blueprint. Hidden within it are 3 principles that determine whether money anxiety will crush you or guide you toward growth. 3 principles preserved in stories, scriptures, and whispered teachings passed quietly from one generation to the next. But among these 3, one stands apart. One principle carries the greatest power to transform your financial life. One principle capable of dissolving anxiety with a single shift in perspective. My great-grandfather believed it was the heart of all prosperity teachings. And to understand why he believed that, we must first uncover the roots of the very first mistake people make when facing financial fear. A mistake so common that most don't even see themselves doing it. The first mistake people make when money begins to stir fear in their chest is speaking their anxiety into existence. They don't analyze it, they don't understand it, they announce it. They declare it with phrases like, I'm terrified, I'm losing control, I won't make it, everything is falling apart. These words feel like emotional release, but spiritually, they are instructions. Every time you speak fear, you strengthen it. Every time you name the worst possible outcome, you invite it closer. This mistake is so subtle that most people don't even recognize it as a mistake. When anxiety hits, the mind wants to verbalize the panic. It wants to give shape to the fear. And the moment fear is spoken, it becomes a blueprint. In Jewish teaching, the mouth is considered the gate of creation. Words don't just describe your reality, they build it. So when a person stands in the middle of financial uncertainty and says, I'm scared, they are not merely expressing emotion. They are designing the next chapter of their story with that emotion as the architect. Consider the story of Daniel, a man from my great-grandfather's neighborhood. He was hardworking, disciplined, careful with every coin. But whenever a bill arrived or an unexpected expense appeared, he responded with the same sentence. This is it. I'm done. He said it jokingly at first. Then he said it with tension. Eventually, he said it with dread. And each time those words left his mouth, something tightened in his life. Clients backed out, payments stalled, prospects disappeared. Within 3 short days, just 3 days, he lost 2 major contracts and found himself on the edge of collapse. Later, he admitted that the fear had begun in his heart, but the disaster began in his mouth. This is the spiritual consequence of the first mistake. Speaking fear builds pathways for fear to travel. Anxiety multiplies when given language. It moves from thought to reality through the bridge of words. And psychologically, the effects are just as real. When you declare panic, your nervous system responds as if the worst has already happened. You make reactive decisions. You grasp instead of guiding. You shrink instead of expanding. This is why the first principle of Jewish prosperity wisdom warns against naming fear too quickly. It is not about denial. Denial is another trap entirely. It is about understanding that your words carry weight, direction, momentum. What you speak during moments of anxiety shapes what comes next. If you give fear a voice, it will take the microphone. If you give it silence, it loses its footing. Yet this is only the surface of the problem. Fear-based speech is the beginning of anxiety, not the root of it. There is a deeper force at play, a spiritual contraction that occurs before the words ever leave your mouth. And to understand that force, we must turn to a teaching far older than any personal story, a teaching that reveals why fear blocks blessing long before money ever goes missing. There is an ancient line in the Talmud that strikes like a quiet thunder. Blessing cannot enter a heart filled with fear. At first glance, it sounds poetic, but when you sit with it, truly sit with it, you begin to understand that it is not poetry at all. It is a law, a spiritual law. In Jewish thought, fear is not simply an emotion. It is a contraction of the inner vessel, the spiritual space within you that receives possibility, guidance, and abundance. When fear rises, that vessel tightens, and a tightened vessel cannot hold new blessing. To grasp this, imagine your inner world as a hand. When you are anxious, the hand closes. It curls inward, gripping nothing but tension. And a closed hand cannot receive. But when trust enters, when clarity returns, when breath slows, the hand opens again. It becomes capable of holding what life tries to place inside it. This is why anxiety is so spiritually dangerous. It closes the very space through which prosperity flows. My great-grandfather Avraham used to explain it using a simple image: a clenched fist dipped into water. No matter how deep you push it, no matter how long you keep it submerged, it cannot hold even a drop. But open the hand, just open it, and suddenly water fills it with no effort at all. Anxiety is the fist, trust is the open hand. But this teaching is not meant to shame you for feeling fear. Fear is human. What this wisdom teaches is that you must be aware of its effect. Fear contracts your world, narrows your vision, distorts your perception of what is possible. It tricks you into believing that danger is everywhere and opportunity is nowhere. And this distortion becomes the lens through which you make financial decisions. Hesitation instead of movement, panic instead of patience, survival instead of strategy. Psychologists today describe the same phenomenon with different words. When anxiety spikes, the brain shifts into tunnel vision. It can't see solutions. It can't recognize timing. It can't hold nuance. It reacts. It doesn't create. But centuries before neuroscience existed, Jewish sages were already teaching this truth in the language of spirit. So I want you to pause for a moment and look inside yourself with honesty. Where is fear tightening your inner vessel right now? Where is your hand closing when it should be open? Is it the fear of losing what you have? The fear of never having enough? The fear of repeating an old mistake? The fear of ending up alone in your struggle? You don't need to answer aloud. Just acknowledge the places where fear has curled your spirit inward. Because this reflection sets the stage for the next principle, one deeper, more subtle, and far more dangerous. Fear does not only contract your vessel, it collapses something far more essential, something without which no prosperity teaching, no spiritual practice, no financial strategy can work. And that collapse is the moment trust slips out of your hands. The second ancient principle reveals a truth most people never recognize until their life has already begun to unravel. Anxiety erupts the moment trust collapses. Not trust in money, not trust in circumstances. Trust in yourself, in your path, and in the timing of the one who guides you. When that trust falls, even slightly, fear rushes in to fill the empty space. And once fear is inside, it begins to spread like water inside a sinking boat. Not dangerous because it exists, but dangerous because it enters. There's a saying I once heard from an old teacher. A boat does not sink because of the water around it, but because of the water that gets inside. That is exactly how anxiety works. Life always has challenges around you. Bills to pay, decisions to make, uncertainty about the future. That is the water outside the boat. But when you let that uncertainty enter your inner world, when you let it define your identity or your destiny, the boat begins to sink. Anxiety is not caused by circumstances. It is caused by the loss of the inner anchor that keeps you steady. This collapse of trust is subtle. It doesn't happen with a loud crash. It happens quietly, gradually. You begin by doubting one step, one decision, one moment.
You hesitate instead of moving. You question instead of acting. And each small doubt opens a tiny crack. Through that crack, fear enters. And once inside, fear multiplies. It gains speed. It fills the mind with worst-case scenarios. It convinces you that your life is spiraling, even when it isn't. And soon, your decisions come not from clarity, but from panic. Spiritually, trust is the space in which blessing rests. Without trust, there is no room for abundance to take shape. When trust collapses, the soul contracts, the vessel tightens, and the flow of prosperity slows. Jewish sages saw trust not as passive hope, but as an active posture, an inner stance that says, I am guided, I am supported, I am not alone in this. When that stance weakens, anxiety seizes control. Psychologically, the same truth appears. The moment trust weakens, the brain interprets uncertainty as danger. It switches into survival mode. You stop seeing long-term possibilities and focus only on immediate threats. This is why people often make their worst financial decisions when they are anxious. They are not thinking, they are reacting. And here lies the danger of the second principle. Once trust collapses, anxiety doesn't just distort your emotions, it sabotages your path. It disrupts your timing. It leads you to choices that do not align with your future. It pulls you inward when life is trying to push you forward. But even this is not the deepest layer. Beneath the collapse of trust lies a third principle, one more hidden, more profound, and far more destructive. It is the principle that explains why anxiety doesn't just cloud your mind, but reshapes your entire destiny. The third ancient principle reveals something far more unsettling than fear or doubt. Anxiety is not merely an emotion, it is a distortion of reality. It bends the way you see your life, your options, your future. It narrows your vision until you mistake a temporary moment for a permanent fate. And once your perception collapses, your decisions follow. This is the hidden danger. Anxiety reshapes destiny not by force, but by distortion. In Jewish thought, the mind is considered a window, not a mirror. It is meant to let in clarity, not reflect fear. But when anxiety rises, that window fogs. It blurs opportunity. It enlarges threats. It makes you believe that you're trapped, when in truth, there's a door only one small step away. The sages taught that when a person is ruled by anxiety, they do not see the world as it is. They see the world as their fear paints it. And fear is a terrible artist. To understand this, imagine walking through a dimly lit room. If your mind is clear, you move slowly, carefully, but confidently. You recognize shapes, you sense direction. But if anxiety takes over, every shadow becomes a threat. Every shape becomes danger. Every sound becomes a warning. Your steps turn clumsy. You bump into things you could have avoided. You move in the wrong direction. This is how anxiety behaves with money. It turns shadows into monsters, possibilities into risks, and clarity into chaos. There is even a scientific reflection of this ancient truth. Researchers in Israel once conducted a study on how anxiety affects financial decision-making. They found that individuals who experienced elevated anxiety made choices that were 12% less effective in both long-term planning and immediate problem-solving. 12% may seem small, but across months or years, it becomes life-altering. Anxiety didn't just affect their emotions, it affected their results, their income, their stability. What ancient wisdom taught as spiritual distortion, science now observes as cognitive impairment. This distortion is subtle. It convinces you that you're acting logically when, in truth, you're reacting emotionally. It whispers that danger is imminent even when nothing is collapsing. It pushes you to rush decisions when patience is needed and delays you when action is urgent. In this state, even blessings can go unnoticed. Opportunities can appear and you won't recognize them. Solutions can be inches away and you'll walk right past them. But here is the grace hidden inside this difficult truth. Distortions can be corrected.
clarity can return. Your inner window can be cleaned. And Jewish wisdom offers a way, not through force, not through denial, but through language, through a precise shift in the words you use when anxiety rises. Because if fear can distort your path with a single phrase, then a different phrase, an intentional, ancient, tested phrase, can restore clarity just as quickly. It can widen your perception, calm your chest, and reopen the vessel your fear tightened shut. And it is time to learn that phrase now. Now we reach the turning point, the moment where fear stops directing your steps and you begin reclaiming the path ahead. After understanding how anxiety contracts your vessel, erodes your trust, and distorts your perception, you need something capable of reversing all three forces at once. Something simple enough to remember in the heat of panic, yet powerful enough to shift the energy around you. In Jewish prosperity wisdom, that something is not a ritual, nor a sacrifice, nor a dramatic act. It is a phrase, a small sequence of words designed to recalibrate your mind, your spirit, and your emotional state. Before I reveal it, pause for a breath. Notice how your chest feels. Notice the quiet readiness that forms when the heart expects a shift. In our tradition, readiness is not passive. It is a vessel of its own. It signals to the unseen world that you are willing to receive. And once that willingness appears, the teaching can finally enter. The formula is this: thank God I am steady and moving forward. These are not just words, they are three movements of the soul: gratitude, stability, and motion. Together, they dismantle anxiety at its root. The first movement is gratitude. Thank God. Gratitude interrupts fear. It reopens the vessel that anxiety closed. It reminds your spirit that even in uncertainty, you are not abandoned. Gratitude widens perception. It calms the inner storm long enough for clarity to reappear. In Jewish thought, gratitude is the spiritual equivalent of opening the hand. It allows blessing to enter where fear once blocked it. The second movement is stability. I am steady. This is the antidote to distortion. Anxiety makes you feel as if the ground beneath you is crumbling. But when you affirm steadiness, you signal safety to your nervous system. You remind your mind that not everything is falling apart. You reclaim the center that distortion tried to steal from you. And spiritually, declaring steadiness plants your feet on solid ground instead of imagined chaos. The third movement is momentum and moving forward. This is where destiny shifts. Anxiety freezes. It halts action. It convinces you that standing still is safer than trying. But Jewish wisdom teaches that blessing attaches itself to movement, even small steps, even imperfect steps. When you declare movement, you reopen the flow. You tell the universe, I am not stuck. I am not shrinking. I am in motion. And motion is where opportunity lives. But a formula only works if it becomes a habit. So here is what I want you to do. Set an alarm on your phone for 9 o'clock every morning. Label it with this exact phrase: thank God I am steady and moving forward. When it rings, speak it aloud. Let the words settle into your chest. Feel how they shift the direction of your thoughts. Repeat them until they become the new language of your inner world. Because once this phrase roots itself in you, something remarkable begins to unfold, as proven not only by teachings, but by real lives transformed by this simple shift. Let me tell you about Miriam, a woman whose life had been shaped by financial fear for as long as she could remember. Her anxiety wasn't dramatic, it was quiet, constant, like a low hum that followed her from childhood into adulthood. Every unexpected bill felt like a threat. Every fluctuation in her bank account tightened her chest. She lived with a sense that collapse was always near, even when nothing was truly falling apart. And like many people, she coped by rehearsing the same fearful sentences. I can't keep up. Everything is too much. Something bad is coming. These words became the soundtrack of her daily life, until the day she decided to try the formula. At first, she felt ridiculous. Speaking calm into chaos felt unnatural. Her anxiety had been with her for so long that peace felt foreign, almost suspicious. But still, she set the alarm for 9 o'clock. And on the first morning, she whispered the phrase as if it might shatter in her mouth. "Thank God, I am steady and moving forward." The words didn't change her circumstances instantly, but they changed something far more important: the atmosphere inside her. On the second day, her breathing softened. On the third day, she noticed she wasn't bracing for disaster. Her body wasn't curled inward anymore. The inner vessel that fear had been contracting for years began to loosen, millimeter by millimeter. Within a week, small shifts appeared. She responded to financial challenges without spiraling. She noticed options she had previously overlooked. She made a phone call she'd been avoiding.
She sent a message to an old colleague. Anxiety no longer distorted her perception. She could see opportunities hiding in places she had once labeled hopeless. Then came the moment everything changed. A friend introduced her to someone who needed help managing a project, something Miriam was skilled at but had never pursued professionally because she assumed she wasn't capable. The meeting went well. The job became hers. And suddenly her income doubled. Not because the universe rewarded her, but because her clarity allowed her to step into an opportunity that had been invisible to her anxious mind. Over the next few months, the transformation deepened. She stopped repeating phrases of fear. She stopped predicting disasters. She stopped shrinking under the pressure of money. The formula became her anchor. Gratitude kept her heart open. Steadiness kept her perception clear. Movement kept her aligned with possibility. What's most important is this: Miriam wasn't spiritually gifted, lucky, or chosen. Her story is not unique, it is universal. Because the principles at work, open vessel, restored trust, clear perception, apply to everyone. Jewish wisdom doesn't limit blessing to lineage or background. It responds to posture, intention, and the language a person chooses when life presses against them. And now that you've seen its impact, you're ready to understand how all these teachings converge into a single philosophy, one that can reshape your relationship with money for the rest of your life. At the center of Jewish prosperity wisdom lies a truth so simple that people often overlook its power. Your words shape your vessel shapes your capacity, and your capacity shapes your destiny. This is why the sages taught that speech is creation. Not metaphorically, literally. Just as the world was formed through divine words, your inner world is formed through the words you choose every single day. When money triggers anxiety, you are not just dealing with numbers, you are dealing with the architecture of your inner space. Everything we've explored until now folds into this larger philosophy. Fear-based language contracts the vessel. Loss of trust collapses the anchor. Distorted perception scatters clarity. And yet, each of these forces can be reversed the moment you reclaim the language of steadiness and movement. Prosperity is not a mystery. It is cooperation between your intention, your action, and your spiritual posture. Jewish wisdom teaches that abundance is never random. It follows alignment. It gravitates toward people whose inner world can hold it. This is why two individuals with the same income, same opportunities, and same skills can live completely different financial realities. One speaks in a way that keeps their vessel open. The other speaks in a way that closes it. One approaches life with gratitude, steadiness, and movement. The other approaches life with fear, panic, and contraction. And from these inner climates, two very different futures unfold. Now that you've walked through the mechanics of fear and the power of the recalibration formula, it's time to consolidate these teachings into something practical. Something you can carry into your daily life, not as a theory, but as a living ritual. I want you to take the next 7 days, just 7, and test this wisdom for yourself. 7 days of replacing fear-based language with the formula. 7 days of speaking from expansion, not contraction.
7 days of steadying your inner world before responding to the outer one. Why 7? Because in Jewish teaching, 7 represents a complete cycle: creation, rest, renewal. In 7 days, you can't rebuild your entire life, but you can reset your foundation. You can soften the inner vessel that fear hardened. You can reacquaint your spirit with trust. You can open the windows that anxiety once sealed shut. And here is the part most people miss. Prosperity does not begin with money. It begins with readiness. A person who is open, grounded, and moving forward will attract opportunities naturally, not because the universe rewards them in a mystical sense, but because clarity sharpens decisions, peace strengthens intuition, and trust accelerates movement. When you shift your inner world, your outer world cannot help but respond. As you prepare for the final part of this journey, hold this truth close. The power to reshape your financial destiny has been in your mouth, your mind, and your spirit all along. And before we close, there is one final blessing, one ancient thread of comfort and protection that ties everything together and prepares you for the road ahead. Everything we have explored leads to this final moment where the teachings settle not just in your mind, but in your heart. When money makes you anxious, the greatest danger is not the financial situation itself. It is the language you begin to use. You now understand why. Fear contracts your vessel, collapses your trust, distorts your perception, and sabotages your path. But you also understand the antidote. Thank God I am steady and moving forward. These words are not a slogan. They are a doorway. They are the shift from panic to presence, from distortion to clarity, from contraction to expansion. So let this be the final echo of everything you've learned. Do not give your anxiety a microphone. When your mind whispers disaster, do not let your mouth agree. When fear tightens your chest, do not let your words tighten your future. Speak steadiness, speak movement, speak gratitude. Because your words are not just sounds, they are signals. And the universe responds to signals with absolute precision. If you repeat the old phrases, "I can't handle this," "everything will go wrong," "I'm losing control," you recreate the same future again and again. But if you repeat the new phrase, "Thank God I am steady and moving forward," you reopen the path. You steady your steps. You choose clarity over distortion, trust over collapse, expansion over fear. And this choice, repeated daily, becomes a spiritual muscle, a new way of standing in the world. Before we close, I want to offer you something ancient, something carried through generations as both a shield and a blessing. It is the priestly blessing, spoken for protection, clarity, and peace. May the Lord bless you and guard you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. Let these words settle over you like a calm light. Let them soften the fear that once ruled you. Let them remind you that you are guided, held, and never alone. And now, one final request, not as an instruction, but as an act of generosity. Think of 3 people in your life who suffer silently under financial anxiety. 3 people who breathe in fear and breathe out worry. 3 people who need a doorway out of that shrinking world. Share this message with them, not to grow a video, not to gain attention, but to give them what you received here, a way to steady their vessel, clear their perception, and reclaim their path. Take a deep breath now. Feel the shift inside you, the new calm, the new clarity, the new language forming roots. This journey does not end here. It begins here. Because from this moment forward, your relationship with money is no longer ruled by fear. It is guided by steadiness, trust, and movement. And thank God you are steady and moving forward.